Welcome back from the break, everyone, and to your next session entitled Analytics in the Cloud. Don't use the old paradigms in your new cloud platform. Before we get started, I have a couple opening remarks here. My name is Chris Loeschel. I'm one of the partners here at PM Square, and I hope everyone is enjoying their start to Bacon so far here in 2021. Hopefully you guys enjoyed your networking lunch. That was a very cool concept where we're bouncing around and having an opportunity to effectively speed meet a number of our peers. I saw some very good birds of a feather type conversations, and we will have another networking session lined up for that for tomorrow morning. So get your source of caffeine of choice and make sure you don't miss that speed networking session that we have lined up tomorrow morning. There's going to be even faster reshuffles and shorter conversations to kick off the day of learning and training. I want to take another opportunity here to thank our sponsors, IBM, Incorta, and Ingram Micro. Make sure you stop by their virtual booths, and you can do so by selecting sponsors within the app menu. And you can look at any of the resources that they provided, use the opportunity to ask them any questions that you might have for them. Additionally, do not forget to visit our Genius Bar. It's an opportunity for free consulting, free opportunity to ask that burning question that has been holding you back from whatever you're working on right now. There's 2 sessions left this afternoon, and there are 7 in total tomorrow. So definitely want to take advantage of that. You can check out the agenda for directions on how to make your appointment there. Additionally, we've got a Stump the Experts session coming up. You want to get your questions in for that panel. The panel is going to be tomorrow. We'll be fielding those questions live, but we do want to load up those questions in advance so that you have a better chance of your question making it to the top of that list. To find this discussion, go to the community section and then look for the community discussion topic entitled Stump the Experts. And any questions that we don't get to during that session will be included in a future PM Square newsletter or other form of follow-up. So getting down to business for this session, I'm pleased to welcome Rich Rodgers. He is the Senior Vice President of Products at Incorta, and Rich is responsible for driving product strategy, direction, and leadership for the products organization. He's got a long history within analytics, business intelligence, and software. And he's held leadership roles within pre-sales, services, marketing, mergers and acquisitions, business development. Rich has done it all under the sun, and we're so lucky to have him. Rich will be talking with us today about shaking off the old paradigms of the on-premises mindset and on-premise world in the context of your cloud-based analytics practice. And now don't forget, one attendee from today's session will be randomly selected to win a $500 Amazon gift card. Compliments of Incorta. The winner will be announced tomorrow. With that, I'll bring in Rich. Thank you for joining us, Rich, and I'll hand things over to you.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the intro. Can you hear me okay? Is my volume okay, Chris?
Yep, we can hear you just fine, Rich. Thank you.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. So thanks for having me today. As Chris said, I'm going to talk to you about Incorta and how it is a new paradigm for bringing your data and analytics to the cloud. I know many of you probably haven't heard of Incorta yet or are very familiar with it, but I can guarantee you're going to be hearing a lot more about Incorta in the very near future if you haven't already. We really do have a end-to-end analytics platform, and it really does make bringing analytics to the cloud faster and easier than ever before. It's a modern approach. It is extremely fast, easy to use, and it's able to handle very, very large data volumes. And you might be surprised that there are actually over 80 customers, and many of them Fortune 1000 enterprise companies today that are using Incorta in production. As Chris said, I've been in this market for quite some time, both on the ERP transactional side and in the business analytics side, having worked for many of the companies that provide software. And I can honestly say I'm really excited about what Incorta has to offer. And I hope by the end of this, I think you will be as well. So let's talk about the traditional approach of getting basically getting analytics done, right? And so we all know that there's a lot of different data sources right now, whether they're ERP systems or databases or spreadsheets or what have you, all different types of data. And, that data in the way it's stored, especially in transactional systems, it's meant for transactional systems. It's not meant for reporting and analysis, right? And so to get the data in the form where you can do analysis and, slicing and dicing and machine learning and predictive forecasting, et cetera, all the things we want to do with our data today, you have to transform it, right? Not only do you have to transform it, but you oftentimes have to aggregate it. You have to turn it into a different format, traditionally probably a star schema or an OLAP cube. And then you put it into a warehouse, right? And make it available to your visualization tools, right? And this is a lengthy process. This takes a lot of time. It's error prone. And just by the mere fact of aggregation and ETLing, you lose some of the data, you lose some of the detail, right? And so you end up in your analysis looking at summarized and transformed data, and you're not able to get to the detail you need to make the true decisions, right? So this is, and oftentimes, a business user will be looking at do an analysis and wanting to drill down into the detail, and just the nature of it, as we just discussed, they can't get to that detail, so they end up having to go to another system or asking for another report or asking for another data source to be added, and it takes time. And it takes time, and by the time it's done, oftentimes the numbers don't tie out, or they're different, and it's a very frustrating and time-consuming process, right? And this is what we've done for years, right? This has been in place, and this is what people are doing. They've done it on premise, and now they're doing it on the cloud. But there's a better way, right? And what Incorta does is it goes directly at the data sources. It brings all the detail of the data, and it does not transform it. It brings in the detail, it compresses it, it creates what we call a mapping of the data, and then it stores it in Parquet files and puts it in memory. And it does this all at very, very fast speeds. And it eliminates the need for the ETLing, for the aggregating, and for putting it in a data warehouse, frankly. And then it makes it available to visualization tools. Now, Incorta, being an end-to-end platform, we have our own visualization tools. We have a nice, rich dashboard with insights and nice, fancy visualizations. But of course, we know that people have invested in a lot of visualization capability and BI tools, and so we support those as well. So, this is the way Incorta brings the detail. And the nice thing about it is, because we maintain all the detail of the data, that drilling down and getting to the point where you need for decision making is all within the capability of Incorta, and you don't have to go to another tool. Now, of course, if you have a data warehouse already, that's fine. We can access a data warehouse as well. But even data warehouses, you're constantly adding more data sources to the data warehouse. So with Incorta, you have a decision. If you already have a data warehouse, when you have another data source, you can either add the data source to the data warehouse, or you can have Incorta access it directly and bring it in side by side with the data that's in the data warehouse and do the analysis there. So Incorta, the summary is, we are a unified data and analytics platform, and we're not dependent on ETL or data warehouses, and we provide unmatched speed and agility, and preserving the detail of the data. If we look at it, we support a ton of different data sources. We have over 200 connectors. We are specialists in a lot of the ERP systems. We have a lot of experts who have come from places like Oracle and SAP and PeopleSoft and others, and we're very familiar with the ERPs. We're also very familiar with a lot of other line of business systems and data stores. So we've created a number of different connectors to those data sources. We bring it in with that direct data mapping that I talked about, and bring in all the detail, map it, and then we provide it to the different types of users. Now, we have a number of different types of consumers, right? We have the executives who are looking at doing analysis and looking at reports and wanting to drill down. We also have a lot of users in the Office of Finance, right? And Office of Finance, as you know, likes their standardized reports. They like Excel as an interface. We support Excel. We have an Excel add-in, and we have a lot of people using their standard financial reports in Excel or in our own analysis tool, looking at those financial statements and then drilling down into the detail. To support that, we also have some data science capability, right? We are not a data science tool. We do have some data science algorithms, but we support Scala, R, Python, and we have a notebook interface where you can write your own data science and machine learning algorithms on the data that's in Incorta, because we have all the detail. And as you guys know, the key to good data science is having that good detailed data so that you can train your models and get accurate predictive outputs. So we have all that, and we expose it and make it available via a notebook interface. We also have a full set of APIs that you can get at the data. And so if it's basic data science and machine learning that you need, we do have, like I said, algorithms directly in the tool. But then if it's more complex, you can either use a tool of choice, or you can write your own through our notebook interface and get at the data directly, and then put the results back into Incorta. Incorta really consists of four primary parts. And so we connect and extract the data. We enrich the data, and then we bring it to you in the analysis. And this includes an in-memory engine, visualization tools, and developer interfaces. And it's really meant to be an all-in-one data and analytics platform. And we call it the unified data analytics platform. And we say unified because it's meant to encompass both data management and analysis, and to serve the needs of everyone from the business user to the data scientist, to the casual consumer. And we manage the data, like I said, in a Parquet data lake. And we also make extensive usage of the data and data lineage, and have a lot of metadata there that is mapping the data together. And then we really do have what many people refer to in the industry as a semantic layer. And so being able to bring in data from multiple different sources and then having a common nomenclature is part of what we call our business schemas. And it is a full and rich semantic layer that makes it very easy then to build your analysis and insights on. Here you go. Here's the number of data sources. We also support, this is a cloud solution. We do have customers that run it on premise as well. But it is a containerized cloud solution that we deploy on the major cloud vendors. And of course, we support all these data sources on the left, and also a number of different BI tools and visualization tools here on the right. And here is then the data science tools that some of our customers are using today. To augment and get at the data that's in Incorta to do their data science. The direct data mapping is really the uniqueness that allows us to analyze the unmodified business data at really, really fast speeds. And again, by eliminating the data aggregation and reshaping, and no longer having a need for a data mart or data warehouse, this gives us, one data source, and we can do multiple workloads on that data source. This also allows the end users to drill down to summary level and get to that detailed level instantaneously. I wanted to give you a couple, I mentioned we have over 80 customers today. And we have, small and large customers alike. We have customers in all different industries. BI and analytics is not industry specific, and it's across all functions, right? So I wanted to give you a couple highlights on some of the customers we have. And Broadcom is, I think most people know Broadcom, and they're using Incorta in an interesting way. right? They have grown recently by doing, both organically and through acquisition. And if I think back to the times when, geez, I think I've been acquired 3 or 4 times, and then acquired companies at least 3 or 4 times as well. One of the first things that happens when you acquire a company, right, is getting the data together so you can merge your financial statements, right? So you can report on your financials, and the common discussion of okay, so how do we translate this chart of accounts to our common chart of accounts? How do we look at these different dimensions and map them so that we have we can consolidate our reporting. And the same goes, it's not just financials, the same goes with HR and operations and supply chain and all different areas of the business. Well, the way it used to work is back to that old that first slide where you'd have to get at the data source, you'd have to ETL it, you'd have to aggregate it, you'd have to bring it into the same star schema or a very similar data structure, and then be able to report on it, right? And that's very time consuming. Well, with Incorta, Broadcom is not having to do that, and it's really increasing their efficiency in bringing their reporting together for their acquired entities. And so they're able to just go right at that data source of whatever acquired company they just acquired, and get that data and bring it into Incorta, and then with the business schema, the semantic layer, be able to bring it together with it and side by side in the analysis within seconds. They can see, you can see here 98% of their queries are running in less than 4 seconds, right? And they're able to do this in days rather than the weeks and months that it used to take, right? And you can imagine how much data they have. They're doing 96 data refreshes a day, which is something that we're able to do. You don't have to load all the data at once. You can do incremental loading, which is a uniqueness as well. And so, they're bringing in data from all different data sources in a very efficient way. And this is one of the things that allowed them to really speed up their analysis and bringing together the data from their acquired entities without having to, go through that traditional process of bringing it all into the common data warehouse and so forth. Another case study I wanted to talk about is, a huge coffee company that is, has, thousands of retail stores out there, and you can imagine the amount of data that they have. As you can see here, it's billions and billions of records, and they could get the answers that they wanted, but it was taking them forever, right? It was taking, it was weeks before they got the answers, and that untimeliness of getting answers to your data just doesn't allow them to make the nimble business decisions that they need to make. So now they're able to, now they use Incorta, and they're really bringing in, literally tens of billions of rows of data into Incorta, and they're able to get their decisions immediately, right? So it's really improved their business agility. It doesn't take a ton of people to run Incorta. And they're expanding their usage, from their sales analysis to other parts of the company as well. So really exciting. Now, these are big companies, right? Broadcom and Global Coffee Company are huge companies, but we have companies of all sizes. And one of the great things about being on the cloud is that we can start small and then scale. And so our cloud solution, you can elastically scale. You literally can, with a press of a button, increase the size of the machinery that is supporting Incorta. So you can start small and grow. And you can see here, some of the customers that we have across all different industries and sizes, and global companies as well. We have companies across the United States, Europe, Asia Pac, and the Middle East. So lots of different companies, good brand names, and of all sizes. So moving forward, the cloud is we've architected for the cloud. We are on the cloud today. And in fact, in a moment here, I'm going to show you our trial system that is on the cloud and up and running. I invite you to go and give it a shot. It's a free trial and no obligation. And you can use it and bring your own data into it and really see the value of Incorta on your own. And we hope that you give that a shot here after I show you a little bit more about it. Being on the cloud, there's a lot of advantages of the cloud, right? For the customer, the advantages are, of course, that they don't have to have the machinery and the infrastructure and the expenses for the hardware, the networking. They also don't have to, have all the labor and do all the security and certifications, and we take care of all that, right? We also monitor and maintain the system, right? We maintain it, we handle any patches and keep it up to date for our customers. So we're, all the values that you would expect from the cloud, we provide. Our customers we have a lot of customers that are successful today on the cloud and enjoying it. And, some of the on-premise customers that we have right now are actually moving to the cloud, and we've started to move their environments to the cloud, and it's really going good, and we are excited about it, and it is definitely our future as a cloud first company. Here are some of the highlights. I think that the one I talked about earlier, the scalability, is really something that is fantastic, because on premise, if you run it on premise, to be able to elastically scale and add either RAM or processing power, it's not as easy to do. You either have to procure more hardware or have hardware that can be expandable. Where on the cloud, the way Incorta works is it's both horizontally and vertically scalable, meaning that we can add more services or we can increase the amount of RAM or CPU, and it's in an instant. Like I said, literally with the press of a button, you can scale up or scale down. And the nice thing about Incorta, unlike some other cloud vendors, software vendors, is that you only pay for it. We only charge our customers when it's in use, right? And so, Incorta, we don't, care how much you're using of it. For example, we don't look at the amount of data that's being returned or the time it takes to run a query, for example. And all we care about is when it's on. You could be using it 99% of its capacity or 1% of its capacity. If it's on, and it's a flat rate. And when it's off or put to sleep and not in use, then we don't get charged, and we don't turn around and charge our customers for that. So, one of the things I've found about software vendors in the cloud is that customers get frustrated with unpredictability, right? Nobody likes to be surprised at their bill at the end of the month. And so we took that out of the equation, and it's very, very predictable. And you can see at any time, how much horsepower you're using. But when your systems are on, and we have a nice cloud portal that our customers can go look at and see at any time how many users you have, how many machines are running, and what's happening in the system. So it's very predictable and very transparent in the way we license this on the cloud. Moving forward. So here, if this is where we are taking a lot of our customers, and we want them to try it out. And I encourage you to try it out too, right? And so I'm going to show you in a minute where to do that. And we have a free trial. It's 30 days for free, and you can bring your own data into it and give it a shot. And if you need more than 30 days, just let us know, and we'll work that out. We're taking existing customers right now. and putting their if they're not ready to jump to the cloud in full force, what we do is we take one of their a new use case, for example, or we take a non-production environment and move it to the cloud, and then once they're comfortable with it, and then we move the entire set of stuff, so their entire environment, and including production, to the cloud. And this number is old. We have probably about 20% of our customers that have production on the cloud right now. And so that's pretty exciting, and it's really ramping up. And we're seeing more and more on the cloud every day. So let's give this a shot. So what I invite you guys to do after the presentation is go to our homepage. This is our website right here, and click this button up here, the Start for Free. Now I'm going to click it now, but I think I'm going to have to share another screen because I don't think it's going to come up. So give me a moment here. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to change over to here. All right, Chris, are you still with me? Can you see the sign up screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, great. So all we do is ask for your a couple pieces of information, right? I'm actually gonna do this on the fly, right? And so taking the daredevil approach here. Okay, and I'm gonna sign up, and it's gonna send me an email. Okay, so I'm gonna go to that email. You're not gonna be able to see it, I don't think. I just got the email, and I'm gonna activate. Okay, and then of course I'm gonna have to share this screen. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties with the. Okay, and so then it automatically populates it with the email. I type in a password. Okay, and it's going to get started here. What it's doing in the background is it actually spun up an environment for me right away. Chris, are you seeing the Welcome to Incorta dialog box?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. And so we ask for your name because we like to, call you by something familiar. And so we ask for your first and last name. Then we ask you what type of role you are. And Chris, are you seeing this dialog box too? I just want to make sure things are flowing.
Yes, we are.
Awesome. So, these are some of the typical roles we have, the personas that we have in the application. And the reason we do this is because we want to serve you up the right content, right? And so we do have some intelligence in the system where, depending on your role, we're going to recommend things to you, based on the different role that you are. So I'm going to be a business user, right? And click here. And now you're seeing the trial. Right. So this actually, but that's from the time I clicked that start free trial to now, it has spun up an Incorta environment on the cloud. And this now is a full-fledged, environment that I can interact with. Right. And so you can see here, it's actually already loaded some data. So we have some sample data called the online store that we've loaded in. And you can go explore that data. You can look at the business schema, which is the semantic layer and how that's defined. We have a data wizard. I'm going to click on this here and show you. And I hope this, did that open up, Chris? Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So here's where we actually walk you through, bringing in data from a source, right? You can see here, connect to your data, define the schema, load the data, explore the data, and then it'll take you to build insights, right? But you can see here, I'm going to click on, I'll click on Salesforce, for example, right? And so, a nice, simple, just a few pieces of information. We actually walk you through it, right? On, what you need to enter if you're not sure. If, for example, you can't connect to your data source, what's going to happen is, once you enter this information, you hit the test and connect. It's going to go and connect to your system. If for some reason, you typed in something wrong or you don't have access, that's fine. We have a sample set for you. So this will pop up. It'll say connection failed. Do you want to try again, or do you want to use our sample data? right? And so we have sample data that we've provided that you can then go and play with. Now, there's nothing like seeing your own data. So, ideally you get your own data and you can see how quick it is to load that data and how easy it is to create dashboards and insights and do the analysis. But if that's is problematic, then we provide the sample data for you. Here's I'm going to open start with the sample dashboard. So let's take a look at a dashboard, right? And like I said, we have a full set of rich visualizations and insights and dashboards in our tool, but we also support other BI tools as well, right? Tableau, Power BI, Click, you name it. But you can see here, this is a sample dashboard, right? We have some summary data. We have mapping capability, right? All this is contextually related. Moving along, you can see some of the other visualizations. I'll just click through some of these so you can see, some of the analysis types that we have, right? Bubble charts, 3-dimensional charts, grids, of course. The ability to, and the nice thing is you can drill down right into this data. You can also, use our Excel add-in to view the data too, if you prefer to have it in Excel. But you can see here, some nice visualizations and so forth, and that would be, an example of dashboard. And all this is loaded, and this is again the standard trial. And so if you create a trial now or later today, you'll get all the same data that you're seeing me show you here. This is great, blueprints. So I think we do ourselves a bit of a disservice in calling this a blueprint. A blueprint for us actually is much more than just a template. What we do, and these are some of the blueprints we provide, right? So you can see here cross-business functions and all these different data sources, right? So I mentioned we have a lot of expertise in some ERP and other applications. And what we've done is we've actually gone in and we understand the database schema for all of these source systems, and we've actually created not only the ability, the tables that we import them in, the schema that we import into Incorta, and the connector. We've also created the business schema, the semantic layer, as well as the insights and dashboards for these common ERP systems, right? And source systems. So it's more than just like a template. It is actually can be usable. And because, the schema, for example, for NetSuite is the schema for NetSuite, right? And so no matter which customer you are, the schema is the same. We load all that data in, we create those business schemas. Of course, you can edit them and change them. And we actually provide you with insights and dashboards out of the box. And we have many, many customers today that are using these in production today. And it's really given them a head start in getting their Incorta implementation off the ground. You'll find that, especially when using a blueprint, our implementations are really in the order of weeks and not months. And the guys from PM Square can definitely tell you that, as they have experience with it. Chris, I should have asked, are you seeing the list of blueprints, or is that showing?
Yep, we're seeing the page that has the green check on the left side of the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me. There was one other I was showing as well. So I've been talking to that screen, but let me just quickly show you what I was trying to share with you. Is this page? Sure. So these are some of the blueprints that we have, right? By data source, business function, etc. Right. A lot of Oracle expertise in our company, as you can tell. Okay, I'm gonna shut that one down. Go back here. Are you seeing the green check mark again?
We don't have it quite yet.
Okay, that's all right. I'm gonna switch into it. I'll force it. Now do you have it?
We sure do.
Excellent. Cool. So as we go forward, you'll see some other tiles here. We have a tools tour. Here's where you can get the Excel add-in and very easily use that to access your data. This is the notebook interface where you can use your own SQL or Python or other machine learning, Scala and R capabilities. And then we have, some built-in machine learning solutions that I mentioned, right? And we do leverage Spark for, processing either complex queries, or when you're doing some data science, we have a Spark machine that is connected to Incorta, and we use that to quickly and efficiently do some processing when needed. And so we have both our internal engine and the Spark engine at your disposal. We also have a very nice mobile solution. And everything you build once, and it will render very nicely on any mobile device as well. So that's nice for people that are on the go. So this is our free trial, and this is Incorta. Invite you guys to please take a look at it. As soon as you can. And again, it's free, and we just capture that little bit of information. You'll see here it's 29. You have 30 days, but again, if you need it for longer than that, you just let us know, and we'll take care of it. All right, back to the presentation, and you'll have to excuse me one more moment while I get back to it. Okay. I also wanted to call out that, as I described in Incorta, it really is an end-to-end platform. Everything from pulling the data in to compressing it, storing it in memory and Parquet files, and then the analytics layer, along with everything in between. But you don't have to use it, all of it, right? We have several companies that are, using just pieces of it, and whether they're using a different visualization layer or machine learning in addition to it, that's just fine. And what we also have found, and we actually have a partnership with Microsoft right now on something called intelligent ingest. And as I talked about earlier, Incorta is very good at bringing that high volume of data in its detailed form from many different data sources and making it available for analysis. Well, that analysis doesn't have to be done within Incorta. It can be done within other tools. And so one of the things we've done is we partnered with Microsoft and their Synapse analytic data warehouse. And so we pull in data from a number of different data sources and bring it into Synapse, and then Synapse customers can then use Synapse and Power BI to analyze that data. But Incorta is getting the data from all those data sources and bringing it in. Now, it doesn't have to be Synapse. It can be any other analytic data warehouse as well. So if you're not interested in the full end-to-end capabilities of Incorta, which we hope you are, and we think you will eventually anyway, get started with a piece of it, right? And so, that whole process of getting at data sources and ETLing it and getting it into a form where you can do analysis on, we can expedite that process, keep the level of detail, and make it much more efficient and fast for you, and replace some of that old methodology that we talked about in the very beginning of the presentation. So don't think that you have to use the whole end-to-end solution. We have people that are using just pieces of it, and you'll see actually on our website the announcement of the intelligent ingest product with Microsoft. And again, it doesn't have to be Synapse. So if you're not a Synapse customer, if you have a different data analytics warehouse, that's just fine. We can get the data into that warehouse as well. And this is just some data on it, right? We accelerate the deployment. In this case, using the ingest piece of it, we would accelerate the deployment of the data marts, automate the data model and design. The blueprints definitely help in this regard too, because if your data sources are one of the ones we have blueprints for, we can, we already have the mapping done and the schemas defined and the semantic layer, and so we can get that data into your data mart, reducing ETL, and it's low maintenance. So Here's just some more information on it. You can, one of the things with, this one's specific to Oracle and getting it into Synapse. So, but Oracle can be replaced with SAP or any other, application, right? And this is typical of those applications, right? There's tens of thousands of tables. There's hundreds of modules. There is a ton of table, joins that are needed. And one of the things you'll find with Incorta is that we can join hundreds of tables together and still perform where other data warehouse solutions cannot, right? So one of the ways, if you look at some of the leading data warehouse vendors on the market today, you have two, unless there's just a single table, a single large table, once you get to multiple large tables and multiple joins, they break down on the performance, and Incorta doesn't. So that's something that we can do very well. That's unique. So with that, I'm close to the end. Please, I hope you're interested in the trial. Give it a shot. Go sign up for it today. No obligation. And I also want to say that what I showed today with the trial, hopefully that got you interested in learning more about Incorta. And just in 15 minutes or 17 minutes, my colleague Ethan Post is going to do a full detailed demo of Incorta and show you how to get from raw data to full analytics in less than an hour. So he's going to start that at 11:20 Pacific time, which is in about 16 minutes, and that is happening today. So with that, Chris, I think I'm done, and I think you wanted to turn it over to some Q&A.
Yes, and we do have a number of questions that have come in here. Thanks so much for sharing your presentation. I will run through as many of these as we have an opportunity to. For any questions that don't get answered, we'll follow up after the event and make sure that everyone gets their answers. So we'll kick things off now with the first question. If we don't have a data warehouse, or we have one and it's poorly designed or ineffective, can Incorta serve that purpose?
Yeah, it definitely can. We often, when we're talking to a customer, that's one of our first questions is if they've already invested in a data warehouse technology or not. If they haven't, then it should be seriously considered whether or not you need one or not, because Incorta can serve that need as the single repository for your data. And essentially the data warehouse. If a customer already does have a data warehouse and they've invested in that, we'll support that as well. I think then the follow-on questions, because we can access the data from the data warehouse, and we will pull the data from the data warehouse and store it in Incorta. And oftentimes that's a value add to the customer too, because some of these data warehouses charge by access. And if we have the data in Incorta, you don't have to go to the data warehouse, right? We have the data in Incorta for you. And whenever you have a data warehouse strategy, there's always more data sources, and not all your data sources are in your data warehouse. So the natural question becomes, if you already have a data warehouse, if you want to combine more data sources in your analysis, can that data source just be accessed directly by Incorta, or do you want it in your data warehouse? And there are reasons for both, right? There are reasons you'd want both. That's the long answer, but the short answer is yes, it can serve as a data warehouse.
How does the typical Incorta client get started? What does a first phase look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we try to identify a use case, right? We want to identify a use case that you're either, and the typical one for us is, I'm having trouble, getting detailed data, or, my analysis isn't working because, it doesn't have the data I need, or it takes too long to get my data into my reports. So, it's a typical business analytics use case. But oftentimes it's riddled with, the problems that traditional approach has in it, right? Either you don't have the detail, you can't get it fast enough. And so that's where we get started. We try to identify a use case. We'll do a proof of concept if we need to, but if we can identify a use case and then work with folks like the experts at PM Squared, we'll work together to prove out that use case, and then the customer will love it, and we'll expand from there.
So one of our attendees here noticing that there's dashboard functionality within Incorta. and asking, is it designed to replace my BI reporting tools like Cognos and Power BI, or
Mhm.
more as a data source for those tools?
Either or. So we definitely would prefer you use the Incorta analytics tools, but customers have invested in Cognos and Power BI and Tableau, right? And it's hard to peel those things out of people's hands once they get used to them. And Excel being one of those too. So we absolutely support them. We're a certified partner with a lot of these folks. In fact, Tableau right now, out of the box, has an Incorta connector. So if I would say it like this: if and some of those vendors like Tableau, I mean, they've made their entire company, successful on the visualizations that they've done. So they have they've been doing it for a long time, and there's some things that they do that we don't do, right? So if you have a visualization tool strategy already, we will support it. My suggestion would be take a look at what we have, and if we meet your needs, there's no reason to use those other tools. But if we don't, or you've standardized and those tools are what you want to use, then we'll support those.
Does the performance of the end user data analysis tools more so depend on the source database performance, Oracle on-prem, for example, or on the performance of the cloud server?
It's a little bit of both, right? It's a little bit of both, but primarily it's the cloud server, right? So it's primarily the Incorta, the loader is what we call it. The loader, we have three primary services: the loader, the analyzer, and Spark, right? And the loader is really the service that queries and gets the data from Oracle or whatever data source and pulls it in, does that direct data mapping, compresses it, and then stores it in memory for the analytics service to use. So we have loaders of all different sizes, and so we will look at your data sources, how many rows of data you have, what you're pulling in, and we will size the loader appropriately. And then if anytime your data loads increase, then we increase the size of the loader, right? And it's very easy to do. But our loader is really the determining factor in the performance.
So you mentioned at one point during your presentation that you don't need to use every part of Incorta, and I think you've echoed that with your answer above to the Cognos or Power BI reporting tools replacement question as well. But what's an example that you can share of a unique use case that you've seen only leveraging a piece of Incorta?
Yeah, I think that intelligent ingest, we do have customers using intelligent ingest, and that's one of the reasons we have the arrangement with Microsoft. I mean, just to say it, Microsoft very much wants to push Synapse. Well, Azure Compute is what they really want, and in doing so, they also have their analytic data warehouse Synapse and their Power BI tool, right? And so they saw Incorta as a way, even though we do a lot of those things, right? The analytic layer and the analytic data warehouse, they saw us as they were having, difficulty. They were having difficulty getting their customer data into Synapse, right, onto Azure, and they saw Incorta as a one-of-a-kind solution to get that data very fast in its detailed form, from their Oracle, whether it was in on-premise or in the cloud, into Synapse, into Azure in Synapse. And so that's really where the partnership blossomed. And that's really where we're focused on them. Now, of course, we do, a lot of the other pieces as well. But if you're a Synapse customer, you're probably going to use Synapse, right, and Power BI. So I think that's a good example of where the Incorta ingest capability and the direct data mapping is really the value in that situation.
Perfect. We've got enough time for one more question for you. We'll go ahead and address that now. How do you handle security restrictions in connecting to data sources from hosted Incorta?
Yeah, so a number of different ways, right? So if you're talking about the cloud security, we're SOC 2 Type 2 certified. We do penetration tests on a regular basis. We do all the things that you'd expect, a cloud software vendor to do. If you're talking about data and access to the source systems, we have a few different ways to get at the data. One is, of course, through a VPN. The other is what we call a data agent, and we prefer the data agent. It's a very small agent that sits next to your system, whether it's on-prem or on another cloud, and it opens only specific ports that are only that are secure and only accessible by Incorta. And then when we talk about the data, we have full, record level security. We have a number of different roles and permissions defined in the system. So, down to the data level security within the application itself.
Perfect. That'll conclude Q&A for the session. Thank you so much for the presentation and for entertaining as many questions as we could. And I thank you for doing my job and teasing the upcoming Incorta session that we have in a few short minutes here. But thanks so much, Rich.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Chris, and thanks for tolerating the screen switching. But hopefully it wasn't too disruptive.
Not bad at all. So a couple of takeaways for the audience here. The Genius Bar. If Rich and what he said sparked any new ideas or questions specific to your organization or specific to ideas that you have about how you could potentially use Incorta, go to the Genius Bar, grab an appointment, talk to someone about it. There's an Incorta slot tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Time. There are other cloud topics available as well. Check out the agenda. Additionally, as Rich had teased, we've got a session here in 7 short minutes where we are going to be doing from raw data to analytics in 1 hour with Incorta. We're going to be getting into more of the technical, more of the hands-on experience of what it looks like when someone is going fingers to keyboard with Incorta. Thursday at 11 Eastern as well as 2 Eastern, we're doing hands-on enablement where you get to get behind the keyboard and get your hands-on with Incorta's unified data analytics platform. Additionally, do not miss out on the Bacon Hangouts that we have. So there's going to be Hangouts this afternoon. It's a virtual meetup feature within the Whova app, and it gives attendees the autonomy to organize their own group conversations, to join conversations that have been organized by others. Really just meet up based on whatever shared interests you have. You can start or you can join one. And at the end of the day today, we're also setting aside additional time for these types of conversations as well. We have set aside 5 ourselves, but again, you can create your own or join others that have been created as well. So that is going to conclude this session here. Again, thanks to Rich Rodgers, thanks to Incorta for dropping the knowledge on us here, and looking forward to future sessions here today and tomorrow.